Hey guys, what's going on? RetroGamer here, and today we're looking at the R36T Max. So this handheld to me is what I would classify as a slight upgrade or maybe modification, you could say, to the original R36T. So back in August of 2025, I reviewed the original R36T, and I didn't have very good things to say about it. I didn't think it was a bad handheld. I didn't think it was very good either. It's really cool that it's going for that retro TV design. The screen's really nice and stuff, but other than that, it's not really great. The D-pad I still feel on the original model is awful, and there's just not a lot going for it. It has the same chip as every other handheld that's $100 or less. The RK3326 is used in every one of these budget handhelds, so you're limited to what you can play. So with all of these, if it has an RK3326, you're limited to basically Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, some PSP, you're gonna have to experiment with that. N64, not really a no-go. So how is this one? How is the R36T Max? Well, as I said, it's more of a modification of the original one. It's rocking the same RK3326 chip, so you're not getting any performance upgrades. The only thing you're getting here is an extra analog stick. That's the only thing you're getting. You are getting nicer buttons though. You are getting that as well. The D-pad is a lot nicer on this one than the original model. I think this one is a very good upgrade. They're still using that circle D-pad, which I don't like. It doesn't work great. I don't like it. If I could use a normal D-pad, I would rather use a normal D-pad on this, but it is far better than the original R36T. I will say that. It does work fairly well. Playing Street Fighter, I use the analog stick for Street Fighter 2, but then in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, this is my favorite game. I love Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, my favorite Street Fighter. I use the D-pad and doing the combos and stuff and moves, and it seems to work fairly well. It's not spot on, but it's not horrible either. You're able to land a lot of the moves pretty decent, so the D-pad is a pretty big upgrade from the original model. But other than that, it's I don't want to dunk on this too hard because it is an upgrade, but it's not performance upgrade. It's just a more of a shell modification with an extra analog stick. Personally myself, I would love to see the analog stick, the left analog stick above the D-pad. It would feel a lot more comfortable. With them both down like that, it's really kind of cramped to hold. This thing's really tall too, so that's also kind of a factor. With it being so tall, having one analog stick above the D-pad would have been a game changer to me, but the handheld itself is pretty nice. I do like the really big screen. As you can see here, I compared it to the original DMG Game Boy. It is pretty much exactly like a DMG Game Boy. It's almost the same size, and not as thick of course, but almost the same size, the same height. I was surprised. I'm like, man, when I took it out of the box, I was like, this is literally just a DMG Game Boy, and it's pretty cool. The screen, I said again, is really big, nice. I really like the screen. The buttons and everything, they press pretty good. From what I remember, the original T model, I don't have it anymore, but those buttons, as I said, were really bad. This is an upgrade. The shoulder buttons in the back are pretty dang clicky. I don't like them in the back. They're really, really clicky, but they work fine. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot going for this thing. One thing I did find interesting was the D-pad seems to get stuck scrolling when you go through the games. As you can see here, you can scroll through the games and then move to another section, and then it'll just keep on scrolling. I think it has to do with pressing down diagonal, and it just gets stuck. But playing games, I played a lot of different games on this thing, and I never had any issues with it getting stuck or going a direction that I wasn't supposed to. So I guess it's maybe just an interface issue. I don't know. Other than that though, with performance, as I said, you're gonna be getting up to Dreamcast and PlayStation 1. Dreamcast, it's fine. I feel it almost doesn't work as good as the original model, but they're both rocking the same chip, so there shouldn't be any issues. Maybe you'd have to adjust the emulation with certain games or whatever. Nintendo DS also kind of seemed like it was struggling a little bit, which I felt like the original model didn't do that, but again, probably if you mess with the emulation, it'd be fine. But after all of my nonsense talking, you're probably wondering, alright, what's the deal here? Is it good? Is it bad? What's the conclusion? Well, it's not a bad handheld. There are a lot of handhelds out there with this same chip, the RK3326, so any of these handhelds that have that chip are going to give you pretty much the same performance. N64 sucks, and everything else is just okay, or even runs completely fine. A lot of the higher end stuff, is going to be okay or experimental, and 64 sucks, but it sucks on almost everything, so there's that. But this isn't a bad handheld. It comes down to really just, what are you looking for, What are you looking for? If this retro TV style really catches your eye, you could just go for it if you want to. It is an upgrade from the original model. The buttons are a lot nicer. I personally feel with how tall it is and the fact that the D-pad is below the analog stick, it feels kind of cramped. But if you're only playing games that use the D-pad, then it feels fine. But I wish it were a little bit wider. It just feels a little bit cramped in my opinion. But it's not a bad option. If this handheld really stands out to you, why not give it a try? You might really fall in love with this thing. Special thanks to AISLPC for sending this over for a review. Thanks for watching, see you next time.